Hello, welcome to your program, The Mestizo Perspective. I am your host, the French Olmec. Now, today I want to talk about something that's very interesting and very important, and you may have seen in the thumbnail. There is a phrase that has been echoing through the halls of power for years now. It is a phrase that's designed to soothe you, to quiet your anxieties, and most importantly, to keep you working and waiting. Now, what is that phrase? In just 2 more weeks. It sounds harmless, doesn't it? It sounds like a deadline, but in reality, it is an infinite loop. If you look at the political cartoon, Trump's promises have always been 2 more weeks, and it took people a while to figure that out. This exact strategy of governance is laid bare. The cartoon features Trump sitting comfortably in a wooden cart labeled administration, which is his administration, sporting his MAGA hat, holding a stick with a bundle of cash dangling just out of reach of the donkey. The speech bubble reads, in just 2 more weeks, I will let you have wealth, money, and comfortable living, and whatever else I promise. Now, look at the map between the cart. It stretches from 2016 all the way to 2028. That is a 12-year trail of mud, empty declarations, and undelivered results. We are being told to keep pulling the cart day after day, year after year, on the promise that paradise, America Great, is just 14 days away. But while we keep our eyes on the dangling carrot, there's jobs coming, there's money coming, America's gonna be great. The wheels are grinding down every foundation of our nation. We are running over the Constitution of every state. We're running over the Constitution of our country. Now, let's look at the track record of this present administration without the window dressing. It is a masterclass in the art of unfulfilled promises. Remember the revolutionary healthcare plan that was going to replace Obamacare and cost only pennies, or it was going to be so wonderful, so much better than Obamacare, which is what we still have right now. 2 weeks, he said. Remember the massive infrastructure overhauls, the economic miracles, the $2 trillion that we were going to get out of firing all these government workers, the sweeping reforms that were always just around the corner. 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. And if anybody questioned that, they were called bad ratings, bad reporters, they were called all sorts of names. This isn't just bad scheduling. This is a deliberate tactic from Trump. By keeping MAGA in the perpetual state of anticipation, he keeps a significant amount of people in the United States waiting and holding back the accountability for what is happening right now. While we wait for the grand reveal that never comes, inflation squeezes the middle class. Families struggle with affordable living, and the basic guardrails of our government are systematically dismantled. And guess what? He doesn't even have the decency to attempt to bring up the minimum wage for the American worker at a decent level. I'm not talking just because he's got the Senate, the House, and SCOTUS. He could, if he wanted, theoretically make a fight to bring the minimum wage of the American worker to $16, $20 an hour. And on the next video, I will prove to you why this in itself, in and of itself, is not inflationary. But we'll leave that, we'll put a tick on that. He could try to bring your wages up to where you would not, or hey, bring down the cost of housing. But he won't even do that. Now, if Trump's promises, in Trump's promises of 2 weeks, the donkey pulling the cart isn't just the opponent. That's why I drew the donkey, because it seems like it's Democrats. But it's not just the Democrats, it's also you guys, the Republicans, MAGA, every worker in this country, everybody that has a stake in this country, who some who trusted the vision, some who did not, but we are all working, producing, because this country didn't just stop producing because we don't like Trump. We're still producing, we're still working. So that's why I have the donkey, who represents Democrats, wearing the MAGA blanket, because there's also Republicans there. It represents all of us. It shows a leadership that is perfectly content to let its own followers do the heavy lifting while delivering absolutely nothing but another extension on the deadline. It's a comedy of errors, except that the joke is on us, on the American people. But this goes far deeper than just a few broken economic promises. We have reached a point where this 2 week stall tactic is actively eroding our democracy. Democracy relies on truth, transparency, and results. Where are the Epstein files? Hidden away. Nobody knows. Everything is covered up. They show you papers with everything blacked out. Uh, so, and even though the courts, the law of the land says, hey, you have to do this. Now, when an administration replaces actual governance with a continuous reality show cliffhanger of in 2 weeks, the system is fracturing, not just for the liberals, but for MAGA. See, when MAGA turns around and says, oh, we want that, Trump is going to use the same weapons that he's using against liberals and against Democrats. He's going to use them against Democrats. The same way that Castro used his power in Cuba. The same way that, what's his name? The same thing that Nicolas Maduro used against his people. Once they acquire power, they're not going to use it for your benefit. They're going to use it for their benefit. Now, we are looking at a situation where Trump knows that if he can convince people to keep moving forward like donkey, oh, I don't, it's coming, it's coming. You just don't know Trump. You don't know a businessman, but it's coming. And meanwhile, you keep moving forward based on a fictional future. He can get away with anything in the present. He can weaken institutional checks and balances, dismiss the rule of law, and consolidate power only for himself, all the while telling the public, don't look at what I'm doing today. Just wait until you see what's coming up in 2 weeks. We are on the verge of a dangerous tailspin when the accountability of a nation is replaced by a permanent carrot on a stick. The citizens have lost their voice. We have become passive passengers, or worse, the exhausted beast of burden pulling a cart towards a horizon that keeps on moving backward. We cannot afford to treat this as normal political theater anymore. The stakes are simply too high. Now, some critics will say, well, don't all politicians make promises they can't keep? Sure. The history of politics is paved with broken campaign pledges on both sides of the aisle. But there is a massive existential difference between standard political compromise and intentional, decade-long strategy of deception that threatens the democratic fabric of our country while promising a small significant number of this country as, oh, you're all going to be great. Everybody's going to get screwed. I got something for you. When you think that everybody else is going to get screwed and you're not, you're next. Somebody, they say when you're on a ship, if you think that is someone else's turn at the barrel, remember that the ship's going to run out of sailors, and at some point it's going to be your turn in the barrel. It's an old joke. Some sailors might know it. But it is that the guy in the barrel gets all the worst things from the ship. And at some point, it's going to be your turn. Whatever you see happening to immigrants, to everybody else that has been working here, it's going to be coming down on you as well. Ask people in Cuba that actually live there. Don't ask the kids of the Cubans, because I've talked to them and they really don't have a clear idea of what happened. They reject communism just based on, if you call me communist, he's gone. You don't even know what I am. But the name makes you reject like it's an allergy. But people that actually have studied, that know what's happening, the United States is on the verge of the same type of authoritarian, because guess what? It's not communism that was wrong. It's authoritarianism, putting all the power in one person or one party. Same thing that happened with Mexico. They kept changing presidents, but it was always one party that had the same power. That was another form of dictatorship. Now, we cannot lose our focus, guys. We are in a tailspin. We have to look closely at who's holding the stick and who's driving the cart. We need to support the mechanisms and the parties that are trying to pull us out of this drive, rather than distracting ourselves by diluting the criticism. Oh, it's not so bad. Everybody lies. No, 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 no. These lies are particular to a group of people trying to hang on to power, a small group of people trying to hang on to power by using a small fringe of people from the country, okay, to make the majority of the country be obedient to whatever the hell they want. This is not democracy. This is not America. The promise of 2 more weeks should remind us that time is running out. The map stops at 2028. We have midterm elections coming this year. We need to be there to stop this man, but we can't forget that he will still be the president, and that party will be in the executive branch until 2028. So even if we win this 2026, we can't rest. This battle goes until 2028. And it's not just for the liberals. This is for America. This is for the United States and our democracy and everything that our forefathers actually fought for. Our forefathers did not fight to get all immigrants out or to be all white. What you have to be looking at is right now, the billionaires are fighting to keep control of the government against the majority. It's time to look at the stick, MAGA. Look at the driver and realize that the promised land is an illusion. They don't want to give you anything. They will never give you anything. The only thing that they're going to give you is that they're going to try to make you feel like you're better than a certain class of people, but you're not. And I got other videos coming to explain a little bit more about this oligarchy that we are falling into. And just like George Carlin said, you are not invited. You think you are, because you're making 100,000 a year. You're making 150,000 a year, and you think you're part of Billionaires Club. No, you're not. If you cannot stop working for a year and not give a heck where your money comes from, you're not part of the billionaires or the multimillionaires. You're not included. Okay? And and I say this because there's a lot of people who think they are part of the billionaire club or that they're getting there. No, they're not getting there. They don't even understand how much $1 billion actually is compared to $100,000 a year. Okay, $100,000 a year right now exactly is essentially what maybe a family of two needs in order to have a decent middle class life. Where are the billionaires? They're way up there. They don't even consider you a human being. So you got to keep that into it. Yeah, you may be living fine, and some of the taxes may seem like they favor you, but they don't. They just want to keep power so that eventually they can also get rid of you. Well, see you on the next one, my friends. I hope you really think about what I'm saying.